Welcome, dear listener, to the Secrets for a Happy Life podcast, born from my desire to share the knowledge I've acquired on leading a better life, interwoven with diverse experiences from my travels, years of studying psychology, and life lessons. I'm Petra Kmetec-Bitenc, your guide on this journey on rediscovering joy, productivity, and the essence of living a fulfilled life. Yeah, we were talking about that topic quite a while ago, that we want to address it, and I think today it's a good day for it. And we'll be talking about early childhood experiences and how this shapes our adult relationships. And do you mind if I start with a story?
Please, I'd love that.
Okay, so imagine a little girl. She was grown up in a home where love was really conditional on her behavior. So if she was getting good grades, she would be praised. If she was misbehaved, she would be really harshly criticized. And all those experiences made her, in her early adulthood, that she was a woman who was constantly seeking approval in her romantic relationships, and she was unconsciously all the time fearing that if she doesn't live up to those expectations, that she will be left alone, abandoned, and not loved. And all those relationships, all her inner world was filled with anxieties and this relentless pursuit of perfection. And that was me, like 20 years ago, before I started working on myself. And I was constantly asking myself over and over, why again am I in this kind of mess? Why do I feel so bad in the end? Why do I feel alone? I was a lot of the times cheated on, not been respected. And when I started studying psychology, I saw this why. I realized why, because I was having these anxious attachment styles, and I was playing the games that we are talking a lot about in transactional analysis. So this is really interesting, what kind of freedom we can achieve, and how much better relationship can we have, not only with our partners, but only in the family system, or with friends, in our society around us, when we start working on ourselves, where we are mindful about what we are doing, about our patterns, and when we start to develop a little bit. So yeah, that was my story, and I would just like to encourage everybody who is watching, listening, that it is possible to change something, because I did a massive change. And I would also like to maybe give you something to think about, and ask yourself if you maybe see yourself in this story that I had, and ask yourself, what are the underlying fears that maybe you have in your relationships. And I will close with that one and give you the word. And yeah, that was hard.
Well, but thank you so much for sharing, Petra. That was really beautiful and vulnerable and really inspirational as well. You know, I think it does give a lot of hope, and I think it's such a common scenario where people are struggling with repeating relationship pattern, but before they get into really questioning it, many are not even aware that there is a pattern and that there is something that they could do about it. People think, well, this is what's happening. I'm unlucky. I'm meeting all the wrong men or women, and kind of, giving up their power in that kind of thinking. Because in the end of the day, if you recognize there is a pattern, then you can change the perspective and acquire that agency that you need to make the change, to take the responsibility. Okay, the common things is men or women, all the wrong men and women I dated, whatever the gender is. The one common thing is me, right? So maybe it's time to look into the mirror and see some maybe not very pretty things, and see what I can do about them, and understand where it's coming from. But it helps to look into that mirror with a lot of compassion and curiosity, and try and be kind to ourselves. Okay, we did what we did because we didn't know any better.
Yeah, so true. With compassion, with awareness, and just recognizing, why am I the way I am? And we cannot change the past, we can only change the future. But when we realize the patterns that we are living by, and all this negative self-talk, like I'm not worthy, like we have in intersectional analysis this quadrant where it's I'm okay, you are okay, I'm not okay, you are okay, you are okay, I'm okay, and you're not okay, I'm not okay. So yes, yes, no, no, yes, no, no, yes. And mostly when our parents was emotionally unavailable, or where we couldn't trust our parents, we couldn't rely on them that they will be there for us, or maybe we were given a lot of harsh criticism, like I was, then we get this inner sense that I'm not okay, others are okay, I'm not okay. And when you look through this lens, I'm not okay, then you are always asking yourself, is this my fault? What should I do better? I need to improve. I need to earn my love. And then you are really going into perfection mode, into workaholic mode. You want to be always better and better, what is in a way okay, but not if it's pushed, like insidely driven, that you have to do that in order that you feel okay with yourself. If we do that, let's say because we have our goals and we want to achieve those goals and we want to be really good by achieving those goals, is okay. But if, let's say I'm a workaholic and I sit down and I want to read a book, and my inner critic starts, oh, you're lazy, you cannot sit here, you need to do that, and why aren't you working? Then this is not okay.
Yeah, and I mean, it all starts as an adaptation, right? Because fundamentally, as Gabor Mate likes to talk about, these two fundamental needs that we all have, the need for attachment and the need for authenticity, being our true selves. And sadly, for a lot of us, they come at odds. You can't really get both of those needs met, because the message that we receive from the early caretakers is that as we are not good enough, we're not accepted. You know, we may not be accepted in our anger, we may not be accepted in our the tantrums that kids throw sometimes. All of those are not accepted, or you're not accepted when you do not behave a certain way. And what we learn is to appear a certain way, the way that they want us to appear. And so we're suppressing our authenticity for the sake of attachment, because we cannot survive without it, right? And that's what we kind of carry on into our adult relationships, without actually realizing that as adults, we are not dependent for our survival on the attachment. It's nice to have those relationships, but we can survive perfectly well on our own.
Yes.
Yet those parts of us are so young, they don't really get that we've grown up. We don't need that for survival. And we can choose the people we are with. If they are not willing to accept us the way we are, our authentic selves, then it's fine to lose those attachments, and we can meet other people.
Yeah, now when you started talking about attachments, it's good to know that we have different kinds of attachments. That it's anxious attachment style, anxious avoidant, then secure attachment that is really good. Then we have, I think there are 4, I don't recall all of them, I don't know them by hand, just like that. But what I wanted to say is that even I was I was anxious attachment style, and awareness, you can also change that. When you have on the other side also a person who is willing to talk, who is willing to grow emotionally, you can change your attachment style from anxious to secure. And I can say for myself now that I am in a secure attachment style. I grow to it. So it's possible that we also change those attachment styles if we are not too much psychologically damaged. And yeah, but we need to work. We need to put a little work into it, be mindful, maybe go for a couple of therapies or to RTT sessions, and just be present with ourselves and allow ourselves that it's okay. Yeah, we are okay.
I lost you there for a little bit. My connection was breaking up, so I'm not sure, if I missed, if you were saying something similar, but picking up on where you left off and the different attachment styles. I've come across different classifications in different literature depending on the authors, but most of them do talk about the avoidant and the anxious. You get ambivalent, etc. And of course, secure is what we are all kind of thriving for, but very few come out of secure attachment families, if you like. So it's concepts that we are not even familiar with. And I think the big challenge with that is we learn what we live. And if you grow up in a family where you're constantly exposed to, for instance, an avoidance style behaviors, and that's what I witnessed, I did not realize that a different way exists till really a few years back. It was so natural. It was just, this is how it is. That's, for example, what my father used to do. He would just withdraw himself whenever it was too much for him to handle emotionally. He got upset with someone in the family, and he would just, kind of not talk to anyone for. Anyway, I think maybe that's not the topic that's meant to come up today, but to sum it up, for many of us, we are so immersed into those unhealthy dynamics. This is the only things that we've ever experienced, that we may not even recognize that they are not healthy, and that there is a different way that is possible. And I think this is a very important first step. And then the next step is really saying, okay, this is what I've lived and it didn't really work for me. I don't want that. What I want is something else. And then recognizing what it is that you want, and then taking the steps that you, Petra, were suggesting, like going into therapy, coaching, whatever it may be. There are a lot of brilliant books out there as well that you can read with really great examples of the exercises you can do, and just really make sure that it kind of ends with you, and what your kids learn is that secure attachment style, and that's what they take over. But also for yourself, it's much nicer to be in that kind of a relationship.
And I think a big part of it is also psychoeducation, because before I started studying psychology, I was constantly in this loop. Something is not right, but I don't know how to fix it. And then I tried with so many different techniques and styles and meditation and this and that, and nothing worked. I didn't have a clue that I could just start to changing something within myself. I changed a lot of stuff outside of me, but I had no clue that I can change something, because I thought that I am the way I am. I cannot change myself. And I think this knowledge that we gain when we start to study psychology, for example, or you don't have to go into, 4-year study or 6-year study of psychology. It's enough that you start to educate yourself on some maybe relationship patterns and what is contributing to the things that you are doing now. And with this identifying patterns, you can gain this freedom, and you are also able later to say, I am okay, and it's good that I feel respected. It's good if I say no. It's good that I set boundaries. And one thing is also interesting when I was studying this, that we usually get a type of partner that we want to relive all those traumas, I wouldn't say traumas, but I would say all these hurts that we've been exposed in our childhood. So when we have this kind of a partner, we unconsciously want to solve the problem that we were facing when we were little. But if we are not aware of it, it's going to be only worse. So we need to start with awareness and really acknowledge all the impacts that our childhood has on us and start really solving by the root causes, not fixing the exterior, but or choosing the new partner, the next one, and this one is good. He has or she has to have all those qualities, but what do I have? What am I bringing to the table? And I'm not talking now about like how much you earn in a month or something, but what kind of qualities do you bring in the relationship? If your core needs are met, if not, this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I love that you brought up the couple element and the fact that, you know, we attract certain partners, and not even attract, I think we choose certain partners who actually activate those they trigger the same emotions. And in a way, it's a great opportunity. We often get frustrated because we are kind of reliving the same experiences. But if you flip that coin, I think it's a brilliant opportunity for us to actually heal those patterns, those imprints, and approach them in a different way. And if you look at it from that point of view, it enables again to approach it with compassion and curiosity and transcend those patterns, because indeed changing from one partner to the next will not make a difference until and unless you really work through the way you respond to them, because you will just keep repeating the cycle.
Yeah, and I think life is teaching us something, and until we don't get the lesson, it will serve us even worse and worse lessons so that we finally get it and understand it and heal ourselves.
Absolutely. You need to pass that test so you can move on to the better experience. But also I think, you get, well, I love the saying that Terry Real says. He always says, we marry our unfinished business. And it goes also for other long-term partnerships, right? And it's a great opportunity, even if you are with someone for 40, 60, whatever years. It's not that they get to a happy place where there's never a conflict, but I think people in a very mature adult relationship, they learn to navigate through it and to repair whenever rupture occurs, rather than just blame each other or push it under the rug until that resentment builds up and they can't really stand each other and the illnesses start kicking in, etc. It's really learning to navigate through it, to recognize your own unhealthy dynamic, taking responsibility for it, initiating repair, etc. But also, of course, it's a two-way street. If you're the only one always working on yourself and initiating the repair and taking responsibility, but you see that your partner is not really willing to do their parts, and again, you may want to get curious as to why are you willing to stay in that relationship, and basically accept something that's not at par with what you put into it.
Now, when you started talking, I remembered I just had a nice conversation with one of my girlfriends, and she said, she was talking about her husband and their relationship and how they're constantly arguing. And then I said, but you know, I don't argue a lot with my husband. And she said, but you need to argue with your husband in order that you have a good relationship. And I was thinking, and I said, no, because whatever comes up for us, we solve it in the minute that it comes up. So if I don't feel good about something that he does, or vice versa, we talk with each other, we communicate that, and because we feel this kind of respect and mutual desire that the other one is feeling good, then we navigated all those storms that are maybe coming, but we solve them before they start really to, like you said, if you put something under the rug or you avoid some certain problems, they become bigger and bigger. And usually when people start arguing, they don't address the core issue, they just address the things that are on secondary importance, but they think this is the reason for their clashes that they have. So yeah. And the other thing, you said something, I don't remember. Yeah, so maybe I will come back to it. Yeah. What do you think? Do we need to argue, or we can solve this on more civilized manner?
I think that depends really on how one defines arguing or civilized ways, because a lot of people who appear very civilized, they're basically just avoiding that conversation. And if you're talking, about arguing as in screaming and yelling at each other, that's not very productive because you cannot really hear the other person. And I was reading a book, I can't recall the name now, but it's such a brilliant idea and it's written by a couple really, and they are both couple therapists, and they practice all of this, and that's how they teach people to actually communicate in a couple, how you raise a concern or your complaint or whatever it might be in a very constructive way, and that involves a lot of listening and a lot of mirroring, and that I wouldn't even call it arguing, but I think this is a very mature, very healthy way to move past misunderstandings and hurts and whatever might happen in a relationship in a way where you come out of it stronger than you got into it. So I would say having difficult conversations is essential.
Yeah.
Arguing, maybe not so much, but definitely I don't believe in pushing things under the rug and saying we want to be this perfect couple and everything is amazing, and whenever there is something that one is not happy with, we will fix it by going for a fancy vacation. It just doesn't really solve anything.
Oh, so what can we say more about our...
I think, look, there is so much I could talk about it, but this connection is really really frustrating today, so maybe we can talk about something similar on another day. You touched on a beautiful example of how anxious attachment style can come about. There is a whole lot to be said about avoidance style as well, because this is something that happens so much, and people always who are on the receiving side of this avoidant attachment partners, they often take it very personally, and they're trying to understand, what have I done wrong, it's just not about them. So I think this is a very interesting piece to talk about as well, but maybe on another conversation. And
I just remembered what I wanted to
say on how again, of course our early experience.
Yeah, when you say that sometimes what they have from that relationship, that they are still in the relationship when they are the ones who are just pushing everything forward. You have that drama triangle. I don't know if you know it. And some people are they have this role of a rescuer, and if somebody is playing victim, then this is your role, and you feel in the beginning, you feel okay in it, but then you get resentful and angry, and you want the other person to change. But you both have those roles, and you cannot easily go out of them. So again, we are back to to just recognizing, why am I doing that? I am allowing the other person that they are playing their role. What kind of role am I playing?
Yeah, exactly.
And then
I think fundamentally
ask yourself, am I willing to do that further on?
Yeah, I think it helps to bring everything back to oneself and do a little bit of self-inquiry as to whatever might be happening. It's very easy to blame the other person and saying they're mistreating me and they're being unfair, and it might as well be true, but there is always a role that you're playing in any relationship, be it romantic or work relationship or whatever. So you can't really do anything about the other person, but you can always get curious and inquire as to what role you're playing. Why did you take that role on in the first place, and why are you holding on to that role? Because so many of us overstay in the roles that we know are not really working for us, yet we are holding on to them. Why?
Because
there
of
is
the
something that
hope.
It gives you.
Yeah, it's a hope.
Wow.
Yeah. It was so good in the beginning. So he or she, they were so good, so nice to me, and I want that person back. But that person was there just for the first couple of months.
Yeah, so that's another one.
That's
another good
one,
conversation to have. But yeah.
So we still have hope. At least I had hope with all my previous partners that they will come back to the way they were in the beginning, but they never did that. So yeah,
but
it's time. It's time to set boundaries. Whenever you feel that you're not treated well, it's time to set boundaries. But then you need to feel I'm okay. If you feel I'm not okay, then you don't set boundaries.
And that hope, it goes back to the childhood pattern, right? Where you had to meet your parents' needs, and the belief that the child has when they get drawn into that pattern is, if only I can do something, this and this, fill in the blanks, you know, be the smartest, the prettiest, the best athlete, whatever it was your thing. If only I get that, then I would get the love, kind of paraphrasing it. But similarly in the adult relationship, if only my partner could see my point, if only I have, I don't know, bigger boobs. Sometimes, you know, this is a new thing I hear, you know, and that's what pushes ladies into all this. If only I don't know, if only, then they would love me and we will be perfectly happy. It hasn't worked in childhood, and it doesn't work, and it's never gonna work. So that's where I'm gonna leave it for today, I guess, because I'm really getting frustrated with the connection. And
no, it's okay. Yeah, we can live here, and I would just say that it's possible to change all our life scripts. It's possible to change our attachment styles for the better, and we need to start with ourselves. But it is possible, and I really encourage you that you start thinking about yourself, all who is listening now, and just be kinder to yourself, more compassionate, and you will get there.
Yeah, you're doing just fine with whatever you do, the best you can with the knowledge and the experience and the circumstances you've had. So when you know better, you'll do better.
Aww. Thank you. And
the one final thing, completely unrelated, but I realized it's our birthday week for both of us.
Yes. So we'll be celebrating next Monday because we cannot celebrate before the birthday, so we'll celebrate it after.
Wow.
But it is. Anyway, we can celebrate all year long.
Exactly. But yeah, we can talk about it a little bit next time if we feel like it, you know, how you go through it. Do you draw any conclusions, kind of, or is it more on New Year's Eve or your birthday, etc.? We can just have a little chat about it next time. I just thought about it. Yeah,
that's a good topic. Yeah, love it.
Okay, well, it was lovely seeing you, and have a great week. And everyone who joined us, have a wonderful week, and feel free to share your experiences with us. We love to hear from you.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a great day.
Bye.